Brian Card,
Here.
Norm Farren,
Present.
Michael Huco,
Here.
John Sarantopoulos.
Here.
Lorraine Lagarde, and Keith Thurlow is absent with notice.
All right, thank you. Seating of alternates, so Lorraine, you'll be a voting member tonight. Okay, thank you. Agenda addendum, I don't believe we have any.
No, we don't.
Okay, citizens' comments on items not subject to public hearing. Do I need to read the whole thing?
Yes, and we got to
Okay.
let people know that
Yep.
even though we have, okay.
So individual presentations not to exceed 3 minutes, limited to an aggregate of 21 minutes unless otherwise indicated by a majority vote of the commission. Public comments can be emailed to publiccomments@killinglyct.gov or mailed to the town of Killingly, 172 Main Street, Killingly, Connecticut, 06239. All public comments must be received prior to 2 p.m. the day of the meeting. Public comments received will be posted on the town's website. As this is a hybrid meeting, citizens can participate in the citizens' comment by WebEx. The phone number is 415-655-0001. Access code is 2870-211-1919. So just so the audience knows, we do have an application later on that is a site plan review. Because it's a site plan review, it is not subject to a public hearing. So if you have any comments that the public would like to give on application, site plan review application 26-1364, Ryan Companies US for the property at 228 Westcott Road, you would need to make those comments now in the citizens' comment section, which is open right now.
Good evening, Al Dufresne, 148 Pond Road, Dayville, Connecticut, Quiet Corner, Last Green Valley. I sent public comments in the other day, and I went online to see if they were on there, and I didn't see them on there. And I do know I sent them properly, as I've been sending them before. Check that out. So I want to make sure they're not on. If they're on there, Al Dufresne's comments, I'll sit right back down.
They're
They're on there? Okay.
they're on there, and I just gave the commission a copy of your comments.
Thank you, okay. So this is, yeah, and it just pertained to the distribution center Husky project on Westcott Road and public safety and water. And you can look at it, there's a link on there. It's called Black Skies, I think it is, and it has to do with the distribution center, Walmart distribution center burning down in Plainfield, Indiana. So that happened, and there are other distribution centers that caught on fire. It's not the only one. But anyway, tonight I want to say I'm for the memorandum. I don't know if I can say that yet. That's going to be in regards to moratorium, sorry. And 90 Plainfield Pike, Dayville, Connecticut. I'm for it. So that's it. We're going to make it quick for you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Ula T. Barclay, 26 Dark Lantern Hill Road. I have a comment on the Husky project. I'm here as citizen and as representing my district as the town councilor. My constituents are expecting that I speak for them. So the battle against the proposed Walmart distribution center on Westcott Road, around 2002-2003 was led by the residents of Killingly. There was opposition to rezoning a 350-acre parcel from business park to industrial use to house a greater than 1.1 million square foot building. The Planning and Zoning Commission hearing lasted over 10 months. The concerns voiced included environmental impacts such as stormwater runoff, noise, truck traffic of about 700 truck trips per day, traffic congestion, and the I-395 ramps, and local roads, property devaluation of nearby residential homes, and destruction of natural forest character of the land. The Killingly Conservation Commission unanimously was against the zone change due to environmental concerns such as pollution and habitat disruption. The Killingly Planning and Zoning Commission rejected the rezoning in March of 2003. Now here we are, March of 2026. Project Husky is a proposed 1.4 million square foot on same property as a Walmart distribution center. All of the same concerns still exist. The people are against it. They're concerned about the environment, light pollution, noise pollution, water pollution, air pollution, truck traffic, traffic congestion. Only one thing has changed. Warehouses and distribution centers have been put into business park. The Planning and Zoning Commission and the Planning and Zoning staff have gone against the will of the people. The people are at the top of the chain of command. Then comes the town council, then comes the town manager, and the people are at the top. You're supposed to follow what the people want, and this is not what they want. Thank you.
Ida Barris, 1123 North Road. I am just up here to really support what Ula just said. We don't want these giant warehouses and who knows what's even going in them. And please listen to what we're all saying. And let's not do this. Let's change this back, change the zoning back so it doesn't include industrial or warehouses. Thank you.
Ed Grandelski, Upper Maple Street, Dayville. Discussion of the 550 Hartford Pike Ryan companies. They're looking for 4 additional parking places. Is that site got final approval that they're done and they've completed what they're supposed to do? I mean, I'm looking near the bank. That's not landscaped, finished landscaped. The other thing is deliveries. I got caught in a fiasco a couple of weeks ago where a tractor trailer is backing into the facility from the westerly side. That does not meet your requirements. They had to have somebody get out and run traffic control. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think we've done a good job on that. And then the other thing is, where is there a specific place where the trucks are supposed to unload? On another occasion, I see a truck, the same thing, it was at least a 53-foot box, parked on the westerly side. And if you're parking on that side, there's no way in hell you're gonna get out while he's there. So I guess I'll have to say, whatever. We did a lousy job in accepting what was done there. So now if they're gonna have to have, and then in addition, before the last snowfall, in between the snowfalls, I counted 9 lost parking spaces because of stupidity of snow plowing. I don't see, they were talking about vaguely, I brought up when this was going on about a snow shelf. I don't know where the hell it was. And then after the second storm, it was even worse. So we need something that has to work. And that's not working in the best interest of the town of Killingly. And I actually called DOT on that situation where the tractor trailer was backing in. They said that's not of their concern. Oh, they did the traffic study, and I guess you can back into a scenario, and that's okay. So I guess I got to bring it in here. I was not in a position where I could take any pictures of it, but you know, it was a zoo. And I'm very displeased at the final outcome of that.
Hello, Kevin Olson, 699 Cook Hill Road, Daniels. I'm here to speak in support of Project Husky. The town of Killingly was built on the power of the rivers that ran through it. They powered the factories and the mills along their banks. Those mills provided jobs for the residents and a tax base for the town and the school system. Obviously, times have changed. The waterways are no longer as necessary as they once were. But Killingly has another resource, not a waterway, but a highway, Route 395. And along this highway are large tracts of land, some of which are zoned for development, such as this distribution center. The town needs to replace the jobs and tax base that the water-powered mills once provided. With budget season here, once again, our school budget is expected to see a significant increase along with the town budget. And these are not extravagant budget requests. They're simply trying to keep the doors open and the lights on. Many, many taxpayers are forced to make difficult decisions about how they will meet these tax payments. This project will help to lessen the burden on these residents while infusing funds to support the town and the school system. Thank you.
Is right now only speaking for Westcott Road, or is it for the other one too?
It's anything not subject to a public hearing,
Okay.
so.
So I'll just start by asking, can you guys give us an answer as to why the 3 requests from OKP regarding the water, why it was denied, all 3 of them, even giving a statement of the importance of our water, why that was denied? If you've already denied the request to strengthen protections of our drinking water, why would you simultaneously be pushing to build a monstrosity on our aquifer? That makes 0 sense. I would also like to know what business you plan on putting in on Putnam Pike, because that hasn't been given to any of us. And obviously you would know what it is. You're not gonna spend all of this money without knowing what you're putting in there. What are the benefits to the town? I know he just mentioned taxes, but as all of the residents of Killingly know, anytime you guys do any of this, our taxes only go up. There's no job creation. You bring people in from out of town. Taxes just go up and up and up. So there's no release for us there either. So it's just all the way around. It's bad. The next thing I want to know is, would you all be willing to submit to an audit of your personal accounts just to prove you're not accepting money to sell our town out? Because I assure you, I will be going to the state for that to be done. So each and every one of you should be expecting something soon. The last thing that I will ask you is, have you ever read our nation's founding documents, specifically the Declaration of Independence, which states, when a government becomes destructive to the ends of protecting our rights, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government by any means necessary. So, you keep pushing the people. As she stated, you work for us. This isn't a fiefdom. You're not lords over us. You answer to us. It is us who make the decision, and you then push forth our decision, not what you guys want, none of that. So, you know, we've asked in the past for a referendum, we've asked for this to go to a vote. None of that happens. You guys just do whatever you want to do. So maybe it's time for tar and feathering. Who knows? But what's going on now is absurd. And like I said, you can all expect to hear something because I am 100% pushing for you all to be audited.
Michelle Murphy, 325 Breakneck Hill Road. I'm here to express my disappointment in the 90 Westcott Road project and also the one on Route 12. Particularly 90 Westcott bothers me because it had come up before and the people were so overwhelmingly against it. I feel very disappointed in myself that I didn't catch it when the zones changed because I would have brought people to the meeting to speak out against it, and I just didn't catch it, the significance that we were going to get a 1.3 million square foot industry. And I think the developer did a beautiful job, honestly, but the scale of it is just so shocking. And I know I'm shocked. I know a lot of people are shocked. As people know, I introduced a text change moratorium that they'll be talking about legality, but it was done in Ashford or Ashland. I'm prepared to talk to their lawyer about it if we need it, but it's just a text change. And hopefully, when we bring it forward, there's going to be a public hearing. I'll need your support. It's just to slow it down. They'll go back and they'll deliberate again to try and look at these ordinances again and put some guardrails in so we don't get slammed with something so large as this. But they're totally in control of saying yes or no. I'll let people know when that public hearing is. We have a list if anybody wants to join the Get Informed list. So I don't know if Westcott Road will go or not. I just want to say I'm so disappointed that, I personally didn't know the history and I didn't catch what was happening with the text change at the time. And my apologies for not catching it, even though it's not really my job. But yeah, I'm disappointed, and I hope we can get out of this situation without flattening the rest of the town. So thank you.
Good evening. I'm Susan LeGros. I live at 106 Chestnut Hill Road in Killingly. I've been a resident here for 27 years. I was involved in the Walmart distribution fight back in 2002? Yes. Thank you, 2002. And I too am surprised that here we are again. I'd like to formally object to the distribution applications submitted for the proposal development of 90 Putnam Pike and at I-395 Westcott and Mashantucket Road, AKA the Project Husky. While I appreciate the efforts to enhance our community, I believe that these particular projects will have a detrimental impact on the local environment and the quality of life for our residents. The increased traffic and noise associated with the construction and operation of the general use building could significantly disrupt the peaceful atmosphere of the quiet corner that we currently enjoy. Equally concerning is the lack of information regarding who will be housed or processed there. Furthermore, the proposed design of the buildings are inconsistent with the character of the surrounding areas, which primarily consist of single-family homes. The development risks overshadowing adjacent properties and may lead to a decrease in property values. Additionally, there are concerns regarding the adequacy of local infrastructure, including water supply, waste management, fire safety, which I believe have not been sufficiently addressed, as well as the impact on local wildlife and ecosystems. I urge you to adopt the warehouse and distribution moratorium submitted by Michelle Murphy and Lisa Damberg, which would allow the time to consider these objections carefully before making a decision on either of these applications. I believe it's essential to prioritize the well-being of this quiet corner community and to ensure that any new development aligns with our values and our needs. Thank you for your attention to this important issue, which will impact the future of Killingly and its residents.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Justin Fisher, 94 Dam Road. I want to formally say that I am opposed of these mega warehouses. I don't think anybody's realizing the magnitude, the size of this building going in on Westcott Road right now. If you talk to any of the fire departments in town, our neighbors, the volunteers, the people who don't get paid to run into your house and save your life at night, it's very rich, Kevin, the fact that you brought up the history of Killingly and how the mills and everything and how water source is just not important anymore, because Old Killingly Pond, when the dam was built, it produced 400 horsepower, and that was huge back then. That formed our town, Kevin. So it's extremely rich for you to say that, because you're sitting here today because of that. And although those 400 horsepower you can buy under the Corvette of your car and take off from gates and it doesn't matter, that is fine. But what that water does do is put out the fires on the distribution center, the 1.3 million square foot building that we're about to put up in our backyard. 4,000 gallon tanker these fire departments have. You're fucked if that thing catches on fire. Just saying. Then that runoff goes into the Mashantuck Brook, which ties into the Whetstone Brook, which ties into your aquifer. Protect water.
Jennifer St. Vincent, 136 Putnam Pike. I know that the applicant pulled out from 90 Killingly Pike, but I do know that they're possibly going to resubmit. I just want to make it clear, because apparently there was some confusion with somebody on the board. We're 1,000, a million times against this, no matter what gets built back there. Because like we've said before, this is literally in our backyard. It's literally going to disturb me and my family, who moved here due to the nature. And to do something when I wasn't here because I was very sick and I didn't want to infect anybody, to put my husband on the spot, put him against people that we are not liking at all, is very disrespectful, and now you're getting us angry. And it's not all of yous, but I just hope the person understands nothing you say to me or do is going to change my mind. This is in my backyard. I listened to the Westcott. I sat there and listened to the whole thing, sick as hell, listened to the whole thing. Their closest person was 3,000 feet. Yay, they're going to do another 25 feet. 85 feet from my property line? Are you guys serious? Like, that was supposed to make us feel like, yay, no. 85 feet. When the other company, literally, I listened to the whole proposal. I stand by you guys. I'm so sorry that's happening to you, because it sucks. It's happening to us. But at least they put thought and energy into their proposal. They're thinking about, I heard about the butterfly bushes. Like, I was like, wow. Like, this is amazing. Our guy is just like, yeah, we just want to slap that in there. Like, do you not take care of the people that are here, that are living here, that have been here, that have been paying our taxes? And a lot of people have come at me on Facebook and stuff saying, oh, this is going to help us with our taxes. Nobody's explained anything how the taxes are going. Nobody's explained that. And all I keep seeing is taxes going up. I just don't understand. I don't know why. Again, 3 years ago and 3 months, we moved here because of the rural. We loved it. We lived in the city. If we want the goddamn city behind us, we would have stayed in Rhode Island. We wouldn't have come into Connecticut and paid more money. But we fell in love with this area. We fell in love with the community, the animals. I have so many animals, you guys have no idea. And now I'm scared. Now you start knocking down all those trees, all those things. Where are those animals gonna go? On 395? On 395, because they're gonna be running. They're gonna be running into people's yards. They're gonna be hitting people, jumping on people's cars. It happens. Watch. And then I also wanted to tell you guys, I lived in East Providence. Cranston is 22 minutes away from us. On Tuesday, a friend of mine posted the place that she worked. In 1939, this warehouse was built. It was 473. You guys can look it up on the internet. It's on there. It was built 1943. It was 473 square feet. The gentleman, it was an honest mistake. The gentleman was fixing one of the ramps. He was welding it. A spark fell. He didn't see it go underneath. The whole place caught on fire. That whole warehouse went down. They're lucky they got out alive. A lot of people got rushed to the hospital due to smoke installation and everything. They have seven within distance of fire hydrants. We have one at Burger King. That being said, they had to call 5 other fire departments to come in and help them put out that fire. It took them 5.5 hours. It's on the news. You guys can see it for yourself. Now, this is my concern. If those warehouses catch on fire, and I know people say, oh, it's 1 in a million. Understand, but it can happen. You're not only going to affect Connecticut. We are connected to Rhode Island. How is that going to devastate us all? How are we going to take care of that? Our house insurance is only going to cover us so much. And then what are we going to do? There's going to be nothing for us. So you're going to end up with a ghost town in this area if you start doing this. And I'm sorry, but you got one a mile away from the other 2. Really? We really need that much? And then you put a gas station not too far from us? How much more can you build on this area? And the traffic is horrendous, no matter what time of day you go. I just hope you guys can understand, I've told you guys, come to my backyard. If you have grandkids, children, I'm telling you, I've had some of the community people come to my house, and they live in the woods, kind of, but they literally pulled up and was like, wow, the deer that were in our yard so close, to our property, on our property, they were like, oh my God, it's amazing out there. You want to talk about Snow White? I'm it. Your daughter wants to be Snow White? I'm telling you, it can happen because it's happening to us. We started with 1 squirrel in 3 years. I put a bird feeder out during the winter storm. I have 17. They all got names now. I name them. And now they have their own little food that I put out for them because I believe that they're part of our ecosystem. I know they are. They help. They help with everything. They help people be more caring, more loving. And with the world that we're living in, we need that. We need that. They're our family. We not only just humans, but the animals are our family also. They help us do what we need throughout our lives. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan Chase, 80 Mashantuck Road. I want to talk about this Westcott problem, and it is a problem. We all know that. That's why we're here. The biggest problem is coming off of Westcott for the elevation of where Westcott versus to Cook Hill Road. We'll go with that. For them to start this project, they talked about all of their vortex system, their jellyfish. I know all about that. I worked in that resource for quite some time. And they are the finest engineering of projects. But the problem is for them to get started, the entire Westcott, that entire strip, half of getting into where they want to put that building is all ledge. Ledge requires blasting. Blasting, we will lose water. That water finds a way, perhaps not to our wells. I don't know what it's going to do to our wetlands, but it's the hardest thing to control. And once that is out of control, where does that leave us? There isn't, you blow it up and you put it back. You can't put it back. And all of us here pretty much, have our own private well. What happens to our private well when it dries up? Who's responsible for that? What do we do? Water is the most precious resource of life. And that's the beginning of that project that we never talked about the other night. But it definitely is going to be an issue that is going to rain on everyone in this room. Thank you.
Good evening, Ian McDonald, 548 Valley Road. You know, I do appreciate, you know, folks on this board who I thought there were some good questions regarding 12 at the last hearing, and I thought you guys did your homework, and I do appreciate that. I also appreciate Mr. Olson. He was a good teacher, and he was a seriously good teacher. I like him. So take this with, you know. But I am a little kind of confused. I know Ms. Murphy was saying, you know, she didn't catch this zoning change, but I think a lot of people are probably caught unawares because, you know, as a town, we had a huge fight, and I wasn't particularly involved in the time, but I was very aware of it. And this was a huge, big thing in town, fight over a very similar area, and it was very contentious. And I think probably our zoning, I don't know exactly when that zoning came into effect, but I think there was probably some intent around that. I think our plan of conservation and development, I know some iterations of it evolved after that fight around the Walmart distribution center. So I think when that happens, and then you have kind of, you know, this zoning change that kind of nobody's aware of, I think we should expect that people are going to kind of get their hackles up a bit. And I am also asking the question, I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I am wondering, you know, did nobody know, you know, when did people know that there was a big distribution center going here? Does anybody know what this facility is? Is this 100% a mystery, or does somebody know? Are there building plans somewhere? I've heard something about building plans. And because if we know, if anybody has this information, this is going to help inform much better this whole process, and we can look to, you know, previous iterations of whatever the company is and get a much better handle on exactly what the facility is. So I'm a little dubious that we're getting here, nobody knows anything except for the plans that were put forth, and I think that's creating a lot of frustration. And I think the fact that we've had a very similar fight, and there, you know, I don't think we always need to do a referendum on everything, but I think this is a case where you know you're going to get a lot of public pushback because we've already done it. So I don't think people are being really trying to be nailing you on this, but I think there's a lot of frustration in part because of this whole process around this facility. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Mike Gagner, 38 Pike Lane. I'm not very good at public speaking, so bear with me. So I've lived in Killingly for 27 years, roughly. Now this project is a huge hit to everybody who lives in the area. Now, I mean, I don't know if a lot of, you know, thought has been put into all these trucks. Now, it's my understanding that the closest port to Westcott Road project would be Providence. So you're gonna have a lot of vehicles, you know, coming from Providence. Now, I mean, if you got 800 trucks coming down, you know, to this area, you gotta assume that a third of those are gonna be coming down Westcott Road. Westcott Road is not a highway. It's a residential small road, and if anybody knows anything about these trucks, I've worked on them for over 20 years. They're loud, they're dirty, they cause a lot of pollution, and they're hard to stop. So I mean, if these trucks are barreling down Westcott Road or the highway or, you know, anywhere, you know, lose air brakes, whatever the case is, I see 3 school buses every single day at 7:30 when I drive my daughter to school. Now, I come around a corner and boom, there's a school bus right there. Sometimes it's hard for me. The school bus has stopped picking up kids. Sometimes it's hard for me. I got to jack on my brakes. Picture what an 18-wheeler is going to do. It's not going to stop. That thing is just going to keep going. Now, with these trucks, I'm not sure if people understand the amount of fluids that these trucks hold. Each truck holds about 200 to 300 gallons of diesel fuel. It holds, about 15 gallons of engine oil, 20 gallons of coolant, 5 gallons of transmission fluid, on and on and on and on. All it takes is one incident. Truck goes over, tries to avoid a deer, because you see them all the time on Westcott Road. Truck rolls over, and that's it. You got 200 gallons of diesel fuel sitting on the ground. And I know there's recovery efforts and all that stuff, but it's when you have that sheer amount of trucks and coming in and out of there, not to mention the trash and the yellow bottles we're gonna find all over the place from truck drivers and people trucking them all over the place. It's gonna be disgusting. I moved here, I bought my second house here to avoid the cities. I originally grew up in Webster, and we came here a long time ago and fell in love with it, and we stayed here ever since. So we don't wanna see these giant warehouses coming to our backyards. The people that this is gonna affect the most are the people who live directly in that area. And for everybody else who, is, approving this or whatever is going wants to go forward with this, it's not really gonna affect them because they're probably just gonna move away. They're gonna not be in the area anymore. So it's affecting the people who live here and who care about this town and who wanna stay here. I have a 6-year-old daughter, I wanted to raise her here. But if something like this goes up in our backyard, it's gonna be hard to look at every single day. Just mental health alone, just trying to get to work and, be happy on a daily basis. It's gonna be pretty hard to do. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Monday, everybody. My name is Jared Slota. I live on 151 Gear Road, the Emerald Necklace of Mashantuck Brook. I did that spiel last time in the wetlands. I know this is more planning and zoning. So as for Project Husky, planning and zoning, this is excessive and egregious. Egregious for the fact that somebody tried to do this 2002 or so, and we're having to revisit the same stuff over and over. Excessive. Excessive is 1.3 million square feet. Take a look at Ryan Company's portfolio, page 7. There is a 1.3 million square feet facility in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Take a look at the size and scope of that thing. If that is not excessive, we're not International 95 that travels up and down the coast. We're small 395. And God forbid if we get trucks from Providence coming on Route 6. If you remember what Route 6 looked like a couple of years ago, it was trash. Imagine that with all these semis coming. And that just gets onto traffic planning, getting off the highway. I don't know if you know that little intersection there, but you end up waiting a minute sometimes just to get the red light to go to green. You got the state police, you got Dunkin' Donuts, you got lots of school buses and lots of kids all in that one little intersection. And this is something that's going to have hundreds of semis coming in on a daily basis. We're not going to make money from this. Whatever small increase in tax, if we get any, it's going to get offset in 20 years when whoever leaves this place dumps the facility. They write off what an LLC is running the company, and there's nobody there to catch the blame. We're dealing with factories and warehouses in the area right now that are open, abandoned. There was a Whetstone mill, had a fire at an old factory. It's not something that a site like this size can handle. Thank you.
Is there anybody else wants to speak in the public comment?
Hi, Stacy Stadnicki, 43 Maryland Street.
Can you pull that mic down, ma'am?
Oh, sorry, I'm short.
Yeah, so just pull it down. It'll bring it down for you. Thank you.
43 Maryland Street, Stacy Stadnicki. I have a question. So it's kind of a procedural thing. So you guys haven't met since February, except for your training on March 11th, which, votes were taken or anything about this. So, and it was before you accepted this letter about the item 2 of new business. But under item 2 of new business, it states, receive and refer to legal counsel for report next month on procedure and legality. How come it says that when you haven't met to vote to do that? As far as I know, that decisions like that, or the first, number 1, receive and give to third-party reviewer, that has to be made, that's a decision made by the commission. It has to be a motion, a second, and a vote. Because you could decide not to even accept the application because it wasn't signed, something wasn't filled out properly, So you can't say that you're going to accept it and send it to a third-party reviewer on an agenda when the commission hasn't even met yet to decide what they're going to do. That's in your power to accept the application and decide to send it to a third-party reviewer. It's just a procedural thing that, especially with all of this going on and the legalities, I think you guys really need to pay attention to the rules. And as far as I know, you can't do that unless it's some kind of a situation in your bylaws where the chairman is usually only allowed to do that. My question was going to be for him, but since he's not here, it's you. And my other question is if you do decide to accept item 1 and start the process of reviewing it and possibly approving it, would they then be so-called, I don't know how a better way to say this, but would they be grandfathered if you do decide to go with item 2 and do a moratorium and start to revise your regulations? So if you start the process on that and you've already accepted the application under number 1, which would be the Ryan Company's Westcott Road, whatever, would that moratorium and these new rules apply to them? Because to me, it doesn't seem like it would. Because if you've accepted the application, you've already started the process. And they'd be going under the old rules or old regulations, not under the new ones or this moratorium wants you to do it if you choose to do it. Just because they've requested it doesn't mean you have to do it. That's per the commission's purview. That was my questions that I'd like someone to answer at some point.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments?
Hi, Claudette Rogers, 294 Putnam Pike, last Green Valley member, Conservation Commission member, and lived in this town my whole life. My parents have lived in this town their whole lives, and I do have a grandson in this town also, and that's who I'm looking forward to raising here and with clean water. I have a couple of concerns on both these places, one being the fire hazard. I didn't even think of it before Al brought it up about our local fire departments not being able to fight a fire of that sort, or even nothing. As of recently, being a school bus driver and going through the town, there was multiple fire hydrants covered with snow, 4 feet of snow. One over on Pleasant Street, right next to our KCS school. That's just a school. There was a house that burned down. Our family, our friends' house burnt down on Route 12 because the fire hydrants weren't working right. My brother doesn't even live in this town, and he heard about the fire, and he went to go help the fire department out, pumping water out of a pond, not out of a fire hydrant, because Connecticut Waters does not maintain their fire hydrants properly, because it did not work on that night. That house burnt, and I don't think that these huge buildings going on our aquifers, one of them going on our aquifer, is just very, very disturbing that that wordage was ever put into our agreements. Like, I don't know why anybody would, like, even the gas stations, it still blows my mind that all of our town stuff, all of our gas, we have 3 gas stations on our aquifer. Just blows my mind. But, you know, being a bus driver for 18, almost 19 years, and seeing the rainbow-colored water go down the drain, and hoping that we have, as a town, good enough filters. I don't know, maybe we should look into those jellyfish filters, you know, because, but that rang a bell for me too. Like, okay, so when they were saying they were gonna hose these things off, when they take the filters out of the things, they're gonna hose these jellyfish filters off-site? Or are they gonna hose them off so they go down to KMS school and all the residents that, you know, all the animals and people that live between there and there, you know, water flows downhill. And as far as I know, we still are dealing with PFOS in this town. And okay, we're gonna test people's wells and we're gonna hook them up to Connecticut Waters, who has a lawsuit against them for serving PFOS. But I don't think it's going to solve our problem in this town to protect our water and to protect the ground that we all live on, and we all want it for our future, for our generations. Like, you just can't do it. The traffic, obviously, traffic at the lights is horrendous, you know, already, and I hope that DOT, if the town doesn't shut it down, if we don't, as people get, like, everything to get, you know, realize that this isn't what we want in this town, hopefully the DOT does it, because when it comes down to, like they're saying, the tractor-trailer trucks, and I know Dave Griffiths saw the pictures, or I don't even know, he might have been driving the bus that got rear-ended on Route 6. We don't pick up kids on Route 6 because a tractor-trailer truck rear-ended a bus. We don't, you know, you have to get off the road. Nowadays, the Board of Ed, they rerouted our runs. We got kids crossing. I have kids crossing right there by Five Guys. I have to have my bus aide get out and cross these kids. We never let kids cross roads. And now, like, because everybody's too busy with their daily lives of going to baseball practice and doing this and that, we don't even realize what our town is doing to our kids. We're spending all this money, all our taxpayers' hard-earned money, that we gotta get more of it by getting these warehouses. The family, the community is not there, and it needs to come back. I don't know how, you know, like I pulled up this Killingly Ag Guide. Oh, look, Killingly Ag, not Killingly Warehouse and Distribution. So, and they're going forward, you know, like, I just want to say something about the emergency road for the high school. Years ago, just like they fought for the Walmart distribution center not to go in, I was fighting, and I was bringing people to the place to not put the high school where it is, because I knew it was a bad idea. Besides, I didn't know that they were going to have frost heaves and have to redo the gym floor on taxpayers' dollars. I didn't know that we were going to have no sidewalks for our kids to walk down the hill. Kids, they'd leave the high school, they walk it, and they walk where you guys are proposing another a warehouse with heavy traffic, and so we're going to put an emergency access, and I don't know if the taxpayers know, that's a lot of money that they are looking for to put an emergency access to the back fields at the high school right now. And I don't think, you know, years ago, if we could have fought it better, if it could have gone one stage up at the Westfield Ave, you know, it would have kept the borough in the borough. We wouldn't have to bust the borough. We have to bust the borough. So us bus drivers got more pay because we have to bust longer, because before, people who would walk their kids to school now have to get bused to school. And also, I had something to say about the third-party review. I know that we have been told that there's gonna be a third-party review for both these sites if they were to go through. But I don't know how you could review anything if you don't know what you're reviewing. I can't bake a cake if I don't know the ingredients. Thank you. Oh, and I just wanted to tell everybody, you know, I'm not the resistance. We are the flow. We are the flow. We are not the resistance. Just get on the boat. I'm so happy there's a lot more people here now fighting this fight with me than the last time. So, love you guys.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Wagner. I'm from Putnam. However, I have become friends and family with many of your community members here. I've spent the last 5 months researching this town and this community and your guys' infrastructure. My doctorate is in global business. I understand how these businesses can sneak in and how communities like yours get caught off guard, which is why I've dedicated a lot of hours into educating your residents of this. With that said, I think that you should really consider taking on that moratorium, because what's happening is you have a lot of gray language in your regulations, and that is something that big corporations look for so that they can sneak developments like this into communities that may not want it. And your community is coming to you right now and saying that we don't want this. We want you to define things. We don't want gray language so that other people in boardrooms across the world can decide what our community looks like. And I know that you guys are looking at many different things, but as commission members, as board members, as council members of this community, your job is to serve the best interest of this community, and you have people coming here and telling you that they don't want this for their community. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments? No? All right, thank you. And then, I'm sorry, agenda item 5, commission staff response to the citizens' comments. So just, Attorney Slater, can you address the comment on the procedural question for the acceptance of the application, please?
Yes, acceptance of an application is not an optional thing. This is something that general statutes require the processing of an application. And, we in some of our training sessions describe it, advise very strongly that you need to take action on an application. If an application was submitted and it's missing a bunch of information that's essential to whether or not it complies with the regulations, you should not refuse to accept it. You instead have to make a timely decision on it, because if you don't and you just rejected it because it was not compliant without voting on its compliance with the regulations, you run a risk of it being considered automatically approved for failure to act. So the requirement of acceptance, the general statute specifically define when something gets submitted, it's considered accepted on the next regularly scheduled meeting or 35 days thereafter. So I assume staff, when they put the agenda together, indicates how, that something needs to be accepted and processed on. Accepting it doesn't mean that it meets the regulations, it just means it needs to be processed.
Thank you, sir. And the statement that we include typically with our acceptance criteria, for instance, in this one referred to a third party, that is a recommendation to the commission. It still has to be voted on by the commission for that action to occur.
Right. The comment by the public that actions of this commission have to happen by the commission, but certain and staff will put things on an agenda that presumes you're going to follow the law, like accepting an application, but your commission still has to act on things like third-party review. So you're actually absolutely right, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thanks, sir. And the follow-up question they had on if this application, which has been submitted properly, and if it's received tonight and passed on, it falls under the existing rules at the time, correct? Not any rule changes or moratoriums that may come into effect after the fact.
That is correct. If in fact they filed something that didn't comply with the regulations and you deny it, and in the interim a moratorium is adopted and it has to refile, then it would be subject to the moratorium. But if it's been filed in advance of the adoption of the moratorium, it's going to be subject to the rules in place at the time it was filed.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments by the commission members? Any public comments that we heard?
Yeah, I'd just like to make one comment. Concerning transportation, I heard a lot of bashing about trucks. You know, there's an old saying, if you got it, a truck brought it to you. Think about that for a while. So, you know, it's a part of how a nation functions, you know. That doesn't mean you don't do whatever's possible to prevent anything that's catastrophic, but they're essentials.
Thank you, Mr. Aptopoulos. So, and I would just like to make one comment to the public. We're all volunteers up here. So for anybody to come up here and threaten us, I mean, we take that personally. I mean, so if anybody wants to tar and feather me, you can meet me in the parking lot after this. I have no problem with that. We can have a discussion outside. But again, to come up here and threaten us, we're volunteers, okay? So we are not town council. We're not elected. We volunteer. They appoint us. Tell the town council not to appoint us. And we do have an alternate. We have 2 alternate spots available. Anybody who wants to join and come up, please do so. So I'll just have that said. And if anybody thinks I'm making money on this, please. So, okay, I do have better things to do. Anyway, sorry, that's my little diatribe. All right, 6, public hearing. So item 1, special permit application 251362, Derry B. Redgate. I believe that is withdrawn by the applicant, correct?
That is correct. You have the withdrawal letter in your packet.
Yep. And that is 90 Putnam Pike, Killingly, Connecticut. So nothing we need to do there. Unfinished business, special permit application 251362. Again, Derry B. Redgate, 90 Putnam Pike. That is withdrawn by the applicant. See correspondence. Site plan revision, number 261363, CPD Killingly LLC, applicant landowner 550 Hartford Pike, GIS MPA map 114, lot 40, 1.87 acres, village commercial, request to add 4 additional parking spaces. It was received February 17th. The 65th day is April 23rd. We do have a meeting prior to that. What's the commission want to do on that one? So
I believe there
We
is
have the
someone,
applicant.
yes,
Yep,
we do
if
have.
everyone can hear me, I just have quickly for the record. My name is Luke Morrow. I'm a professional engineer, Solely Engineering, office at 501 Main Street in Monroe, Connecticut. My colleague Derek Redgate had covered last month because he was here for Putnam Pike, but he did relay some of the questions that were brought up by the commission. So I just wanted to address those quickly. Again, reiterate, the developer of the property, the owner, had come to us stating that the site itself is doing so well, better than they had imagined, actually. So they had come to us and say, hey, is there any way we could possibly put a few extra parking spaces on the site in some of the flat areas without doing a substantial amount of additional site work, just to try to accommodate some additional parking in the summer months, and then also provide some additional areas for snow storage as well as needed. Obviously, you can't plan for 30 inches of snow to come, but unfortunately, that's what happened a few years ago, right? So we kind of deal with it as best as we can. So since the time of that meeting, I know there was a recommendation or request by one of the commissioners to look at potentially maybe constructing an additional lane behind the building, kind of pull trucks off out of the way, the bypass lane, if you will. We did take a quick look at that, and I don't know. I'm going to try to do a share screen. I believe I have the ability to do that.
Jonathan.
Okay. Bear with me. I have to bring it over to this side because it's not going to show. Correct screen. Okay. So the area of the proposed 4 parking spaces, and I'll try to kind of color this in as we go. 1 parking space over here in the northeast corner, 2 along the back, along the back, along where the above ground detention pond is, and then 1 additional parking spot over here where we had some flat areas on the site. I know there was a request made to add a 3rd lane, not feasible from a zoning perspective because there is a rear landscape or parking setback, whatever you'd like to call it, that abuts obviously the back of the rear property line. I believe it's a 10-foot setback. So in order to construct a third lane back there, one would be in violation of the zoning regulations in terms of the required rear yard parking or landscaping setback. And then two, I believe, putting a third lane across the whole length of that back drive aisle would also put us over the allowable impervious coverage within the zone as well. So aside from zoning compliance issues, it would also require additional paving, as you would be aware, retaining walls, a conversion to underground detention, other things other than zoning compliance related issues that in the developer's mind aren't really feasible. The thought was just simply approach staff and then get referred to the commission if needed to see if it was something they can get either a formal site plan or an amended site plan approval for, just so they can add these 4 additional parking spaces in those locations that I had shown. We did bring some of the concerns back to the developer. They did look through their lease. They do not have the ability to restrict the type of trucks that can be used to deliver product to the site, partially because while there are 5 individual tenants and we can relay that message on to those tenants and encourage them not to bring large trucks, and reiterate again that the site is not designed for 67-foot trucks. There are a lot of third-party vendors, unfortunately. I shouldn't say unfortunately, but there are a lot of third-party vendors, maybe Coca-Cola or Lay's or other distributors that need to deliver product to the site, and they do not have the ability, our developers, the owner, or the tenants, to control the type of truck that access the site. So while it would be great if we could do that, it's just something they cannot legally enforce. So that's what I have been told. So while it was a good thought, and in common sense wise, it does make a lot of sense. It's just not something that would be feasible for them to do. So with that, again, I just wanted to reiterate, the thought was the site is doing so well. They thought it would be great to have the ability where it was feasible, where there was some flat areas, to put 4 additional parking spaces to try to alleviate some of that burden on the site, and also provide some additional areas for snow storage in the winter. But then they would be converted to additional parking spaces in the summertime. With that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm guessing probably not the exact answer everyone was looking for, but that's the best I can offer at this time.
Commission members, any questions?
Can you tell us how high that concrete curbing for the back 2 parking areas is?
6 inches. 6-inch concrete curb.
So that's going to be pretty close to the retention pond, or what I call a hole in the ground, where I drove past there tonight, and that's going to be very close to that hole. And I don't know, 6 inches going to stop the truck if something happens. Next thing you know, we're going to have a truck down in that hole. I don't like those two.
Well, the little pocket itself is not designed to be large enough for a large truck to get in there. It's sized for just 2, 9x20 parking spaces, parallel parking spaces. It is, that area itself is flat, so there is the ability to grade in the flat lawn area that's there, and it's about, I'm eyeballing it here, but it's about 4 or 5 feet setback from the top embankment of the pond there. So, I wouldn't expect that a truck would be able to get into that area and then proceed down that slope. That wasn't our intent. But if it is of concern to the commission, we can certainly look to remove one of those parking spaces so there is some sufficient buffer there, and provide 3 spaces instead
We'll
of
make-
4. If
Or,
that addresses
or make a wall there or something to stop. You're saying that's just gonna be, what's gonna park there?
It's meant to be 2 parking spaces,
For
likely
car-
because it's in the back, we would envision it to be employee parking, because they're not prime parking spaces, but it would give the ability to take some of the, visitor and patron parking spaces in the front, open up 2 or 3 additional spaces by letting, we're thinking it'd be more of an employee parking in the rear, to free up some of the spaces in the front and on all sides.
So you don't expect delivery trucks to park there?
It's not meant to be large enough for delivery trucks to park there. That's the deal.
I don't like that part at all. I think the delivery trucks are gonna park there because they'll have to come in the back way to make their deliveries. Next thing you know, if something happens or somebody runs into it, it's down in the hole. I don't like that.
Yep. Ms. Lagarde?
I think your answer is an evasion. You're assuming that the trucks won't park there. And you're gonna wait until one does and something happens. He's right. I have to back him up because he's right, and I think you need to think about it.
John, any questions, comments? No? Norm? No? Couple questions for you, sir. Regards to that, the traffic turning radiuses, has anybody looked at the as-built conditions, looking at the tractor trailer going around the back of the building and whether or not those 2 spaces would interfere on the rear of the building?
I'll be honest with you, the site's not designed for a tractor trailer.
Okay, so would those 2 spaces be better suited to address the tractor trailer deliveries, making that turn?
I'm gonna say probably not, because for the ability for a tractor trailer to make the turn, that, and pardon me, because my mouth is kind of disappearing as I go, but you'd have to extend this line all the way out to here in order to provide a meaningful addition of pavement for a tractor trailer to make that turn. And when you do that, it encroaches 5 feet, within that 10-foot parking setback, so it wouldn't be zoning compliant. So putting those spaces there would not give any added ability for a tractor trailer or any size truck to make that turn back there. It was not designed, to reiterate, to be accommodated for a tractor trailer, but unfortunately, there's not an ability to enforce that.
No, understood. I'm wondering if it can be modified to address the issue that you're currently seeing today. That's number one. Number two, the other 2 spaces on the corners, without seeing the landscaping plan, I'm curious if there's any issues with safety and visibility with those spots and backing up and out of it, especially the one on the western side, where they'll be backing into the bypass lane for the drive-through. All right, again, there may be limited visibility there, for them backing up.
Understood. I believe that's all lawn area over there, as far as I'm aware.
Like the dumpsters are in the corner. The back.
There
No, they're right
shouldn't
there.
be any.
They're supposed to be farther up in that corner, I believe. All right. Well,
I know tonight one of the doors was open and you had to go around the dumpsters area in
Yep.
where that parking spot's gonna be.
yeah. All right, so
So again, just, in summary, just a request to add
Yep.
a few parking spaces that were meant to be out of the way to accommodate some, additional parking because the center's doing better than expected.
So how's,
If there's a number of other concerns that the commission is looking for us to address, I've been instructed, the request is simply for these 4 parking spaces to try to help ease some of the parking burden.
Okay, so you've heard some of the concerns of the commission, so unless you've got anything else, we can either act on it or you can take it back to your, I guess, client.
No, I mean, it's, the request stands,
Okay.
as shown. So, if with all due respect, if the commission is not in favor of it, then we would respectfully request to withdraw without prejudice. Just to that 4 parking spaces. And if that's not deemed feasible or reasonable by the commission, then we would just withdraw the application.
So I can't tell you one way or another to withdraw or not before I vote. Well, you can decide to withdraw, but I can't tell you which way the commission's going because I don't know.
No, that's fine, but in terms of bringing, I guess there's nothing else.
Okay.
No other evidence to bring back before the commission.
All right, thank you. John?
You're welcome. Yep.
Well, look, this is a little fresh because this project wasn't approved that long ago. But to the best of my recollection, and I had a concern with 101 itself, and I thought that the state would definitely say that it would have to be widened in front of that structure or another lane put in or something. And they approved it as is. And our town engineer took a look at it. We were assured that turning radiuses at that time were adequate. Obviously, there's a problem now where they don't feel that they have adequate parking spaces. If the town engineer takes a look at it, determines that where those spaces are going in are feasible, I've got no problem with it. The facility is there.
Thank you, John. Commission members, how do you want to go?
I was just gonna say, if there's objections to those spots on the right-hand corner of that screen, maybe we just eliminate those, make a motion that approve the other ones, or is there some objection to those as well?
So from a discussion point of view, I mean, I don't think the 4 additional spaces, again, without more information, are adequately planned. I mean, I'd like to see more. I don't know if the town engineer has commented on this. He's probably reviewed them and said, well, I don't know what he said, so. There are 4 basic additions. Like I said, there's no landscape plan. Again, there's no other truck turning radius. It's just adding 4 spots where there's already curbing. Was already proposed from the previous site plans, which we did review and approve. So,
Do you want, just asking a question, do you want the town engineer to review this as well before the next meeting and then make the decision at the next meeting?
John, you're the one who brought that up. Do you want? Yeah?
That would be
Okay.
acceptable.
All right, so make a motion to continue and request the town engineer to review this. Someone? I can't make the motion, so you have to make it. You made that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, and
All
I'll
right,
second.
thank you. All right, any discussion? None? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Just as a matter of procedure, Anne Marie, should I send directly to Dave or send it through you?
You can send it directly to Dave, but copy me on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right, new business, site plan review application 26-1364, Ryan Companies US, property address 228 Westcott Road. Construction of a new warehousing and distribution center totaling 1,288,220 plus or minus square feet on a 556 plus or minus acre, consisting of 340 acres for development project site, which includes a 76-acre conservation easement and 216 acres proposed to be deeded to the town for conservation. Project includes associated landscaping, stormwater drainage improvements, utilities, drive aisle, surface parking, loading spaces located between I-395, Westcott Road, and Mashantuck Road, multiple parcels, business park district, parcels, a whole bunch of them. Note, the parcels are not part of the transfer of land to the town of conservation perpetuity, are in the rural development districts. Okay, so do we want to receive and move forward? So is the application complete?
You have gotten copies of everything on the application that
Yep.
they have submitted?
Yep. Which we all did review, it was all in order.
Also, in February, we did discuss the third-party reviewer. As a matter of fact, Mr. Andrew White is here from Ty and Bond right now.
Okay. And that proposal's been reviewed? That third-party proposal's been reviewed?
Yes, it's been reviewed. It's been approved by the town attorney, been signed by the town manager.
Okay. Commission members?
I'm good.
I need someone to say motion.
Okay, I'll make a
Someone
motion that,
to receive and,
received and then it will be scheduled for Wednesday, May 20th, 2026.
all right, so you're gonna give to the third-party reviewer time bond? Right?
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
The Wednesday, May 20th is the 65th day. Our closest meeting to that is Monday, May 18th.
Okay.
So John, you're making a motion to receive, give to the third-party reviewer with their deadline no later than Monday, May 18th. If they can meet the April, I don't know what their schedule is, but is their goal to meet the April meeting, or is it May?
April 20th.
Yeah, I would think it'd be good to make the April 28th meeting with any comments or issues you guys have, so that the applicant has time to review. The commission has time to review, because then the 65th day would be May 20th, and we have one more meeting prior to that. All right, so we have a motion by John. Do we have a second?
Second?
All right, second. Any discussion?
So it will be on April 20th?
Well, it's received, it's given to the third-party reviewer, and whatever
Yeah.
their comments come back, it'll be scheduled for that meeting,
Okay.
shooting for the April meeting. All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None, abstentions, none? Okay, thank you. Number 2, moratorium, zone text change, application 26-1365, Michelle Murphy and Lisa R. Danberg, requesting a moratorium on warehouses and distribution centers, et cetera, with a request for zone text amendment. Receive and refer to legal counsel for report next month on procedure and legality. We have that application in our package. Is it complete, Anne Marie, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, it's complete, but this is a moratorium, and just knowing how long it took for another moratorium that was done in town, it would be staff's recommendation that we refer this to legal counsel.
Okay. Commission members, any discussion, any questions?
I didn't hear the end of that, I'm sorry.
It's staff's recommendation, we refer it to legal counsel. We can have legal counsel do a report back next month. We can already schedule a public hearing if you so choose. It's up to the commission. And the public hearing dates would either be April or it would be May. And if it was the May date, it would be May 18th.
So we need a motion on this.
We need a motion to receive it and refer it to legal counsel for review.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that he come back and give us the proper procedure to follow on the moratorium, given it's,
On April or May.
well, he come back in April and give
April.
us the procedures to follow to move forward with.
And that will give you,
The
that'll give you enough
application.
time to schedule for a hearing in May.
Correct.
That's my motion.
All right.
Second?
We have a motion, we have a second by Mike. Any other discussion on it? Nope. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? None. All right. No abstentions, correct? Thank you. All right. 8-24 review. This was really exciting, folks. Capital budget. Application 26-1366. Review of the capital budget fiscal year 26-27, Town of Kingley, presented by Dave Capaccione, Town Engineer. It's the biggest audience you've had in a while, Dave.
How's everybody doing tonight, folks?
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you all, Mr. Chairman, members of P&Z. My name's Dave Capascione from Town Engineering Department. Not sure how in-depth you want me to go tonight, Mr. Chairman, but I'll give a brief overview.
50,000 feet's good.
50,000 feet's good? Okay. I believe a copy of the proposed capital budget was in your packets. Jonathan's preparing to put the slides up on the screen for the viewers in the audience and people watching at home.
The anticipation, Jonathan, is just killing everybody.
I just like to tease you guys, you know. It should pop up there in a second. I'm gonna make it bigger for you and so everyone can see it at home.
About as big as you're getting it.
And the biggest, works for me if it works for everybody else. Okay, this is the capital improvement budget for proposed for 26-27. This front page, first page gives an overview of the expenditure categories on the table on the bottom left, and the funding source on the table on the right, with a brief description on the top. The following pages go into more detail. So, turn the page, please, John. Okay, this is, again, just a different format, shows the projects, proposed projects on the left, the funding source, and the dollar value. And the funding source is in the gray area, the gray shaded area. And on the right is the Board of Education projects, with the, below that, the Water Pollution Control Authority proposed projects. And again, it's just a summary of the total projects, the cost, and the funding source. Next page, please. Okay, this, again, breaks it down a little further. Road construction for road renewal, unimproved roads, and improved roads. That would be coming in for your town aid road funds and some general fund contributions. The Maple Street project for redoing the paving on that is being pushed out until we find some funding and get some funding in place for that. There is a project on Dyer Street for replacing sidewalks, which is going through NECOG through the LOTSIP program, and the rest will be going through Town Aid Road. And Louisa Viennes is being pushed out for future years for doing some repairs on that. Next page, please, John. Yep, highway. This is just basic maintenance for the highway department. Storm drainage, guide rail replacement, various sidewalks, downtown area drainage improvements, which is the infamous box culvert that runs underneath a number of buildings, some various sidewalks throughout town. And again, if anybody has any questions as we're going along, I can go into more detail for each of the projects, but I'm just trying to give it a brief overview because everybody's had a long night. All right, we've already done road construction. Okay, there's highways. Bridges, yeah. We included repairs of some various dams in town, basically Hygeia Reservoir and Cat Hollow. There are some things we need to do to address those. We've been trying to accumulate some money, so that's what this would continue to come out of as a general fund contribution. We do have all the bridges that are out to design, as far, which are not on this list. North Road, Wrights Road, and not Quinns Hill, Cotton Bridge Road and Peep Toad Road. But we're proposing some projects for Belleville Road and the North Street Bridge, as long as we can find some funding for them in future years.
65%, that's a D, right?
I'm sorry?
65% rating on that Belleville
Yes.
Bridge? That's
Yeah.
a D? I drive that bridge.
There's, Belleville Road is no longer classified as an urban collector, which we're no longer eligible for funding through the local bridge program.
Yep.
So we're trying to find all the sources. Same with North Street.
North Street. And the, just like what, the culvert replacement that DOT is planning for, I think that's 27 on 101, right? At
Yes,
the reservoirs?
correct, yeah.
Is there anything the town needs to do in support of that? Or we
So
don't-
far, we've had meetings with DOT, with the fire department and other.
We don't need to budget anything for that?
No, that's 100% state funded,
Okay.
which is good.
That's really good, yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the detour.
Yep. They're talking about alternating one way, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Okay, public buildings. Okay, talking about doing some repairs to the Bugby building roof. A tree fell on it. Cameras in the downtown Main Street area. Doing some continued improvements to the town hall in future years. We've done a lot of repointing on the brick facade or facing. Just need to continue doing that work. In future years, we're going to need to replace the rooftop HVAC units at the library and redo the parking lot at the library. Okay, Parks and Rec. Again, in future years, we're talking about doing a walkway from Owen Bell Park to KCS to promote events. A lot of people park at KCS currently and walk down. Do some repairs to the tennis courts, softball fields, the maintenance shop. What we have in for this year is renovations to Lions Park, which include upgrade of the playground equipment and new fencing. Davis Park gazebo, again, slated for next year. Whether that happens will depend on the budget for next year. And some work at the Davis Park property to develop that into ball fields, which has been the long-term plan. Anyway.
That timing still holding for them?
Looking that way, yes, yes. Yep. And then Killenly Schools, we got this from the Board of Ed. I will admit, I don't have a clear, they gave me two separate pieces of paper. Okay, the Westfield Avenue, they're doing some electrical upgrades, some work on the access roads, HVAC, and some work to the front entrance. KMS, if they had it all organized, it would be better. KMS is some electrical upgrades, work to the outside windows and the brickwork, and a generator. KCS, we want to do a functional study of the building, driveway and parking lot improvements, repaving, ADA accessibility, some more HVAC work, generator and window replacement. The high school, some work to the exterior of the building. I hate to say this, but the access road to the fields seems to have generated a fair bit of conversation. Some work to the lower athletic fields, and again, some work to the building, work on doors and windows, et cetera. And then WPCA. We've got some money in for sewer line replacement. and some capital projects, which would include work to the primary clarifiers, the secondaries, and some work on the pump stations around Alexander's Lake. And that's a basic general overview. Total budget is estimated to be about 21,000 and change. And 21 million and change, I'm sorry. I missed a couple of zeros there. I need stronger glasses, I think. That being said, that's a very quick overview. If there are any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
John?
Yeah, I've got a couple. You know, there's a lot of questions brought up tonight. And I think council member in attendance tonight had some. That new school, that new high school that we've got, I understand that whatever firefighting they've got is with the water system that's on site. And it's something like a 20-minute supply, enough to get the students out of the building. You know, I think, you know, all this talk about these warehouses and about adequate firefighting water, I think everybody should be aware that we've got a brand-new high school in town with inadequate water supply, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you're not even thinking about saving the building. You're just getting the students out. I mean, but that was approved as is, and it cost money to get a line up there that was never done. So this is what we're left with. The second thing is, if you could comment a little bit about water pollution control facility and this warehouse that's going in. I take a look at those plans, and that's the one thing that really glared at me. Surrounded by wetlands up there, and they're going into great detail on how to get around that by putting in a leaching field. Is there any possibility that this moratorium could somehow be lifted to allow, because they've got, what is it, about 150 people that are gonna be employed there from what I've read. You know, that excludes the drivers coming in and out. But is there any possibility that they could hook up to that facility? See, for one reason, I think it's deploring that we've got, you'd have a facility like that right here in the downtown area, unable to go to a plant that's, what, a $50 million plant or something.
Okay, let me take those kind of one at a time. If I get out of sequence, please refresh me.
Okay.
Yes, I do believe the high school is not on a fire suppression system supplied by Connecticut Water, as you said, just because there is not a water main there. I don't remember the exact gallonage or the time. I'll defer it to the fire marshal for that. I'm sure he can recite that off the top of his head. The other two proposed warehouses, I will say, do have proposed fire suppression by Connecticut Water with pump stations.
Yeah.
So that has been planned for.
Yeah.
Again, I don't remember the exact numbers, but that is in their proposals. That being said, the one on Westcott Road, they would love to connect to the sewer system. As part of our conversations and their pre-applications, that they made that intent clear.
They may what?
That they want to connect.
Yeah.
And that in the future, if the moratorium is lifted or relaxed, that they would still connect. But we can't allow them to connect and not allow somebody else, if that makes any sense. Due to the moratorium, we have had to refuse people putting in-law apartments on. So don't think it would look very good if we allowed a warehouse to connect and denied a resident that same ability. So, but in the future, if the moratorium is relaxed or we make expansions at the facility, the applicant does want to connect, and there's no reason why they couldn't at that point in time. I don't know if that answers your question.
Is that provided it's still under construction?
They have indicated that even if the septic system is installed and is operating, they would still want to connect.
Okay.
Whether they would do it immediately or wait until the system needed repair, I don't know. But during the conversations, they really want to connect to sanitary. They don't want to put it in an on-site
Yeah.
system, because that creates other difficulties for them, obviously. They have to go to the health department
Mhm.
and the state health department, and just due to the size of the system, presents other challenges.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions for town engineer? No? Can we get a motion to move the 824 referral or review?
We should make a motion to move.
It's just to move
Yeah.
move the 824 referral. That's all.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
We have a motion, we have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
All right. Huh? We'll give John, I heard John first, sorry. All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Nothing.
Okay, thank you
Thank
all.
you, Dave.
Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
evening.
All right, where are we? Adoption of minutes, regular meeting, there was a special meeting too, wasn't there? All right, yep. So, regular meeting, Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. Any questions, comments, issues with the meeting minutes? No? All right, can we have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
All right, any discussion? I'm sorry, second? John? All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Nothing on the other. All right, correspondence, zoning practice, department reports, zoning enforcement in the wetlands.
Yep, so the zoning board of appeals, did not meet this month. There was no new business. Wetlands is meeting currently. They have both applications that were mentioned tonight, the 90 Putnam Pike application by Solely. They also have the Project Husky application off Westcott Road. The 90 Putnam did not withdraw from the wetlands application process. The last month for them to weigh in, the commission, is at this April 6th meeting. And there'll be some decision that night, I'm sure, for that. But that one was just a standard review. It was not a public hearing for that one. The Westcott Road application for Project Husky is subject to a public hearing for wetlands, and that's still ongoing. Commission also requested to do a site walk. The agenda is going to be posted tomorrow morning. I believe the site walk will be scheduled for this Friday, March 20th at 9 a.m. That is open to the public. Some site walks are essentially just a walkthrough to look at items that the Wetlands Commission want to look at. I believe they've indicated they really want to look at the entrance and exit areas, where there are wetlands crossings and some vernal pools and restoration work that's being proposed. I don't think the commission as a whole will walk the entirety of the site. It's a very large site, but they might choose to walk out to the building location as well. It's supposed to be a nice day, so if anyone wants to join, it's not a public comment session. If someone's coming through, it's really just led by the applicant to show the commission where the proposed improvements and structures would be. So if anyone is interested and has any questions about that, they can refer to our office in Planning and Development. Just small housekeeping. I think it was mentioned, but I didn't quite catch it in the back of the room. So at your next meeting on 4/20, the Project Husky application will be, I believe the intention of the applicant is to present to you as well as the third party. So there's kind of the two ends of that. I believe the comments for the Wetland Commission are supposed to be produced by our third party consultant on Friday. But being that we're having a site walk that day, they may be delayed to include items from that. Other than that, we did a quick training on Wednesday, hosted by Heller and Sage in Tyche on the new housing bill that has come into effect in the town. A few of you did attend that. We did have a quorum for that. I think there's minutes that are being reviewed. tonight.
The minutes for that will just be who attended it because it
was
gets
really just the
credit.
presentations. Yep. We do have the slide presentation. I'm gonna look to email you guys a copy so that way everyone can look at it. That's gonna be a level of discussion, especially as we start working into middle housing and potentially addressing middle housing. Unfortunately, middle housing becomes effective July 1st. So I believe the general direction right now is to look at it as a site plan approval, being that they're in general commercial zone, and our general commercial zones, as they're written, require site plan approval for improvements. So they would be captured under that, but being ministerial, the direction, particularly from Howler and Sage, is to tighten up those regulations and get as detailed as you would like, either directly to middle housing or generally across site plan review. So I think that's going to be some conversation this year, as well as some more conversations about the requirements under the housing bill with the COG and whether we're looking to take on a housing plan ourselves or deferring to the COG. It appears to be the current regulations with the state are very supportive of the towns going to the COGs because of financial support for the COGs to do said plans. That same support is not being offered to the municipalities. But there are some revisions that I believe are being proposed in the legislative session right now to the bill, so there could be some modifications as we go.
All right, thank you. Economic development?
Yeah, so this week we met with film students over at the Killingly High School to talk about youth employment and perceived barriers. So we're going to be working with them closely on assisting resume development and coaching them through where potentially they could get a job and what skill set they already possess, even if they've never had a job, and how that's transferable in the workforce. On April 1st, we're going to be doing a ribbon cutting for Chipotle. We also have 4 small businesses planning ribbon cuttings. I don't have exact dates just yet, but at 13 Water Street, we have an eyelash studio going in and an art studio. We also have a small boutique bakery at 21 Furnace Street, and we will be getting a healthy meal prep business on School Street. We also were awarded a community investment grant for planning purposes at the old Killingly, or the old Borough wastewater treatment plant. A lot of people don't know it's there. It's between Hutchinson and the ball field. Initially, we had done some assessment work through an EPA grant, but we got tossed out of that on a technicality of building hazardous building material. So that'll include community engagement, further remediation, or assessments for remediation, and an ultimate plan to connect that access to our current walking path, because right now you have to kind of go through the baseball fields, and it's a little bit of a challenge for people who may have ADA issues. We also are, now that the weather is a little bit better, we're continuing our assessment work on the Bailey Hill and Blueville Mill sites, and we will start on our 185 Broad Street School for additional testing for hazardous building material.
All right, any questions? No, thank you. Town council?
Thank you. We voted to not vote at the last meeting to do the cameras downtown, but to put it in the budget. So that when you have the annual meeting, if people wanted to still discuss whether it was a very good idea or not, they could either support it or take it out. But the other thing that we had spent some time on was Old Kilney Pond, and they wanted us to change some of the water from GA to GAAA, and we did not take a vote on it. So primarily that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's what we got blamed for tonight. So I think we got blamed for that tonight in one of the public comments. So any questions for the town council? No? All right. Yep.
So what's a GA and a GAA? What's the difference there?
It's a higher classification. And that we couldn't do it anyway. It was just a form that would have to be filled out and submitted to DEP. And we didn't know how long it would be, but if you didn't have enough votes to make sure that it was a positive vote, maybe it's better that it didn't take place.
What was the intent of it?
It's a higher level of protection
Yeah,
for the
why
aquifer.
did they want to go to a higher level?
It would put more pressure on DEP to look at the overall situation, not only Old Killenly Pond, but all the aquifers and everything that would be, or streams that would be feeding off of it. It isn't a bad idea, but it's something that only DEP can make that change. You can only recommend. The town would have had to pay any type of advertising to have the public hearings and meetings that would either support it.
Anything else? Nope. All right, do a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have a
Great.
question.